Hi, welcome to our first Meet the Candidates. It's my honor and my pleasure to be here with Malt, Maria, and Dennis. I would note that for the audience looking at this, it's very important to note this is a very special election year. And I think it started out on the national level. All of us, everyone throughout this entire country can certainly relate to what's happened in the both Republican and Democratic Party, where they clearly demonstrated they've lost contact with the public when it comes down to. And as a matter of fact, I think it also morphed down into the Village of Mamaroneck locally. It is my honor, as I noted before, to discuss with you, and more important than the issues that we're going to talk about it. And on that theme, that it's important for the village residents and voters to know who they're voting for and what they stand for and their personalities and history. So why don't we just do a little intro first, and we'll start with Malt.
Yeah, I'm Malte Steckert. I'm pretty much a 10-year resident in Mamaroneck. I am originally, based on my accent, I guess everyone is figuring out, I'm from overseas, so I'm an immigrant more or less. I grew up in Germany, moved here roughly almost 20 years ago on job-related endeavor, so to speak, and ultimately decided to stay here. And when I decided to stay here pretty much 10 years ago, we moved to Mamaroneck, bought a house here. I have 4 kids. They all go to, or actually went to Rhinebeck. My first one just went to college. And yeah, I'm pretty much currently serving on the BAR. I'm the chairman of the Architectural Review Board in Mamaroneck, and just trying to, again, help the village as much as I can.
Maria, I know you and Dennis are lifelong residents. So,
Yeah,
right. Townies, as we used to say when I was in college.
Born and raised in Mamaroneck, grew up in Washingtonville on Grand Street. We moved to Rhinebeck 40 years ago, and that's where we settled. I have 4 children, and 2 of them have graduated Rhinebeck. One is going into her senior year. One went to the Ursuline School. My husband Sal has a business here in Mamaroneck, a family business, and that's it.
Great. Dennis?
Again, I was born and raised in Mamaroneck. I was born originally on Ward Avenue, which I hope they do never make a dead end. Lived here all my life, except for 2 years ago I moved away foolishly, and really missed this village. And I just want to give it my heart and soul, and that's why one of the reasons why I came back. And I just hope that I can help it to move ahead forward for the residents, all the residents. We've had lots of problems in this village with flooding and taxes and parking meters galore. I just want to help out as much as I can, and I look forward to it.
And it's an interesting point. You go back and forth. I was a senior in Rhinebeck High School. We were just talking about the history, and I think you were in the 8th and 9th grade, and you were the water boy for the soccer team.
And you were the star forward.
It was very good. And but I think it's even more important than that, as a segue, what you talked about why you're here and why you moved back, the Village of Mamaroneck is a unique place. We've been fortunate in the past 6 years to have been recognized by 3 different entities. CNN Money Magazine rated us as #1 in New York State, number 63 of all towns and villages in the United States. Then I think Zillow rated us #1, and someone else rated us #1. And there's a reason for it. And the reason, as far as I'm concerned as a lifelong resident, is that it's a very welcoming community. Whether you be here for 10 years, 10 days, or 10 decades, with some families that have been around for a long time. And it's the volunteerism in the Village of Mamaroneck. And you guys certainly represent volunteering and what's best for the Village of Mamaroneck. Why don't you, in any order you guys want, talk about how you got involved in volunteering and what it is. Maria, why don't you start out?
Sure.
I am the current chair of the parking committee. I became involved because there was an issue with the parking meters that were going to go on Mamaroneck Avenue, and residents were up in arms about it, and from my point of view, it sounded like nobody was listening. So I stepped up and I said, you know what, I'll put my name in and, petition to be on this committee. This way, at least your voices will be heard. And we've been working really hard, with resident involvement. We've done a survey. We've had over 400 people respond to our survey. It took us a week to do. Another committee member and I walked up and down Mamaroneck Avenue. We spoke to 26 merchants. And we asked them, how do you feel? What would you like done? their answer to us was, please make this as easy as possible for everyone who comes to the village. All we want is to make it easy for our customers, and that's what we've been trying to do. It's gotten a little difficult, but
Putting it
you know,
mildly.
we're still trying. We're still meeting. You know, we meet once a month. Our next meeting is in September. Anybody's welcome to attend. It's right at the regatta. It's going to be on Thursday, September 22nd at 7:30 p.m. You know, public is welcome to come, attend, give us your views, and we're trying to work on a solution to get
What's best for the village?
What's best, exactly. What's best
Absolutely.
for the village? What's best for our, people who come visit, people who live here, and most importantly, our business owners, because, they're part of the heart and soul of this village. And, we have a great variety of stores on the avenue, great restaurants. I've eaten in each and every one of them, so I know. And it's just, it's a beautiful place to be. We're so, our proximity to the water, the harbor. You come down, you walk around, you have a nice meal, you have some dessert. And it's just a great, friendly place to be, and we want to keep it that way.
Well, I'll keep you along that line. So I think it's very important for the public to know that this discussion, while it may be somewhat controversial, and I believe it's only controversial to the extent within the Board of Trustees itself, there seems to be no controversy among the store owners and the residents of the Village of Mamaroneck. They have clearly noted their displeasure in it. But can you tell me, the committee itself, and I think this is very important to illustrate why I'm very excited to have you three as new members of the Board of Trustees, because it's not that I expect us to agree on everything. It's normal to disagree. As a matter of fact, sometimes when you disagree, you'll get a different viewpoint and you can even amend your positions. Sure. But I think the performance of the committee itself from the very beginning, how it was sort of split and how it came back with a discussion, reasonable and prudent discussion, how it sort of changed, and how you would carry that forward to the same, whatever the discussion is on the Board of Trustees.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have 11 members on a committee. Everybody's going to have their own viewpoint. Everybody's going to have their own ideas. What we did was we sat down, everybody took their turn. We listened to everybody's point of view, and there were things that I thought were going to be great that people made me see, well, maybe this is a better alternative. And the same, things that I thought were good, I made, people listen to and say, what do you think about this? And it was just really nice to see how the 11 of us came together and worked together, respected each other's different viewpoints, and really came together to work for what we feel would be the best solution to make everybody, I don't want to say make everybody happy, because you can't.
Right.
But it would be best for
But
the
appreciate
village
it
of
at least,
Mamaroneck.
right.
And from this day going forward, you can't just plan for today and tomorrow. You have to think down the line what's going to happen. And really, we've all come together, and like I said, it's out of a mutual respect and mutual consideration for everyone's viewpoint, and especially from the feedback we got from the residents, the business owners, the visitors. That was really helpful. We asked simple questions, we got straightforward answers, and we're trying our best to give the people what they want.
And Malt, how about as your chair? Were you always chair on the?
No, Dennis was actually before me the chair until he vanished for a little excursion up north. I started 4 years. I think 4 years ago. I think 4 years ago on the BAR, and again, after I became the chair, obviously we had that issue on our board that one member got thrown off, for example, by I guess the current majority on the Board of Trustees. Obviously, it was for me really the point where I decided, maybe I need to get involved a little bit more, and circled that idea. Maybe at some point, I think maybe it might be a good idea to get on the Board of Trustees to have more real impact or bigger impact. I think the Board of Architectural Review is very important. I think it's part of the reasons why the Village of Mamaroneck has become so nice. Obviously, predates me and a long time, but. Ultimately, I think it's nice to have some kind of an overall scheme that you're trying to maintain, that people don't go crazy. But obviously, it's very important to listen to everyone, to hear everyone's input. I have a real estate background, so that's why I pretty much was always interested in the BAR. And obviously, we have controversy on our board once in a while. Usually, most of the things run through relatively quickly. But I always cause the fashion police. In some shape and form. Again, there was always people, who, sometimes do stuff that is just completely, I think, out of the perspective. So, And I mean, I think we are mandated to look at the aesthetics. Obviously, it's all in the eye of the beholder, so to speak. So it's some kind of subjective. But I think we are 5, and we all have our opinions. And I think it's the board that runs relatively, I mean, on its own. I mean, not insisting on being the only one who making a motion, for example. Everyone can do that whatever they want on the board. I mean, we have a very open dialogue, and I think it's good.
I think actually something happened in your last meeting or a very recent meeting
Yep.
with.
We have
it shows you how all the boards are interrelated, whether it's a land use board, the zoning board, the planning board, in this case the BAR.
Yep.
You actually exercised good judgment, at least as to the proper process of reviewing something. Why don't you go over that? I was very impressed.
There's a, and I don't want to talk about the application specifically, but obviously there's a subdivision going on here in Mamaroneck, and there's obviously a lot of input by the community, and again, I mean, for us, I mean, we're trying to again look at these plans and make them work, and try to work with everyone, with the developer, with the community, and I mean, making up our own mind what we think is best for Mamaroneck. And for the neighborhood. Obviously, again, we are all individuals. We all have our opinion, and I mean, we're trying to. I mean, one thing I'm always tell everyone again: come to our board, come to our meeting. I mean, get involved, and the more the merrier. The more participation we have on our board, the better it is. I mean, again, the more input you get, the better results going to be ultimately.
And Dennis, you've been on several boards.
Yes, I have. Actually, my first involvement in village politics, if you will, was when Joe Delfino ran for the school board in the 70s, mid-70s, when I first got involved.
Oh, you're 8 years old?
And close, I was close to that. And then actually, in the early 80s, I nominated and worked very diligently for a Democratic candidate, a friend of mine, and he was nominated and he won the election.
Who was that?
Archie.
Oh,
Archie
Genizio,
Genizio,
yeah.
Yep, and did a fine job. And again,
family.
this goes back to just wanting what's best for the village. Matters not which party we're involved in. I started on the Board of Architecture Review in the late 80s. I was on and off that many times over the years, and had a great time serving with Malte and some of the others. And we do have controversy on the board, even an aesthetic board, which is what the BAR is, but we do work it out. We work it out with other members and with the residents. I served on the Zoning Board of Appeals also, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. It just seemed to be a whole lot of fun. And you have controversy there as well, but you come to an agreement. Not everyone agrees, but we get the job done, as we did on the BAR.
Well, we know that there are a lot of issues that always come before the board. Any board, most likely 9 out of 10 times, will vote almost unanimously 5-0. Unfortunately, the current board isn't that way. There seems to be a miscommunication and what I believe to be a power grab. Do you have any opinion on it whatsoever, as not specifically to any point of law as there, but the demeanor of the Board of Trustees and how you would like to see that changed in the village?
Well, I mean, sorry. I mean,
No,
I
go ahead,
I
go
can say
ahead.
the first time.
This is what the board's going to be like, by the way. You should jump right in.
The first time I saw actually on TV a Board of Trustee meeting, and then actually when I showed up there myself, I mean, more or less a few times, and once giving a little speech when we had that issue on our BAR. I mean, I was shocked about, I mean, the way people, talk to each other, and where's the common courtesy? Respect, courtesy, that should be really, the standards, we should hold ourselves to. And, again, let everyone have their opinion, and then, come to a vote and come to a conclusion. And again, we have checks and balances in our system that we certainly, I think, need on all levels of government. That's the biggest problem in this country right now, that, checks and balances don't really work anymore because people are not doing their job. And I guess in a certain way, that's also happening here in Mamaroneck.
Absolutely.
Well, I couldn't agree more with what Malte just said. And the current, the pettiness and vindictiveness that I see with the current majority, doing just outlandish things that I don't think has ever happened before in this village, at least not in my lifetime or not my tenure. No matter who was mayor or what the makeup was of the board, whether, Republicans, Democrats, independents in charge, just never seen anything like this before. And I think that our team will certainly show the residents that we can be independent, we are independent thinkers, and we can work for the betterment of the village. That's what we want.
One of the things I'd throw out, actually, just to start, very recently, Trustee Potok had noted at a board meeting that he felt that the multi-space meters, believe it or not, are not user-friendly and they're not working, other than the direct fact that they don't work at all. People are putting in quarters, they're getting 50 cents back, and they're getting 2 hours of parking. This is in light of constant communications to the Mayor and Board of Trustees, quite honestly, where not only from the multi-space manufacturers themselves who tell you never use the multi-space meter on the avenue, but even then, don't use them in a parking lot. The only place they're really using them in the market is in Europe, quite honestly. But his answer to that is, and he just directed, and you haven't gotten it yet because I just asked you before we started, is did you get any communication yet on future review of this based on Potok's comment, and you didn't get it, but Potok recommended that we go out and we investigate more expensive multi-space commuters, meters to do it.
Right.
I mean, I find it's just incredible as to the group that you're going to represent. As Dennis just said, I can remember when I was a trustee in 1980 to 82, and I've been on majorities and minorities, and people got along. And after the meeting, you went out and you went to the diner and laughed and talked about everything, but it's so divisive now. The greatest gift that this village has, besides its volunteerism, is the diversity. And I'm afraid with these type of programs that they're not listening to the parking committee, that you're going to destroy the diversity in this village. I don't know what your aspect on that is.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. And if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. You have to please stop putting the cart before the horse. You need to do all this kind of due diligence and research and look at different perspectives before you go out and waste taxpayer money only to fail. It shouldn't have been done this way. It was done. This committee, I feel, has been working backwards to forwards since day one. The multi-space meters were purchased. We had them. We were pushed to do something with them because they needed to go someplace. So in an effort to, try and find a balance and try and do what was best, we suggested putting them in the parking lots. It would have been great if they would have worked. I mean, I'm not, against multi-space meters. I mean, I go to White Plains, you go to the Galleria, you go to City Center. Those meters are so easy to use. You walk in, you put your dollar in, you get your little ticket, and you go and you do your shopping. These meters are not like that. I myself stood there with my 2 daughters, who are both more tech savvy and intelligent than I am in that area, and we stood there for 10 minutes, and I'm sitting there with my quarters, and I couldn't figure out how to work it. The village manager's office had printed out a nice 4-page glossy manual on how to use the meters, and my reaction was, if you need 4 pages to learn how to use a parking meter, if they're not worth using, it's a problem. So I think just the rush to do things and not doing them right. Nobody's perfect. Everybody makes a mistake. You learn from your mistakes. But when you keep compounding it daily and constantly, and you won't listen to reason, it's not good. It's not good for anybody in this village.
Well, again, the biggest problem here is people need to listen. And obviously the parking commission provided a great result, and it gets completely ignored currently. And what about, the loss of revenue, what we have now? I just pretty much a couple of days, had to fail. I tried to put in the quarter, fail. So, we're losing money here, we're wasting money, and, it's got to stop.
Well, almost every meter, when you get that, either has fail, you can't use quarters, you have to use a credit card if you don't have a credit card. Yeah. And then there's the other aspect, and I'm going to tell you, this is a perfect point to bring up, because I know you had mentioned, and the committee mentioned that if you can use the multi-space meters, you should use them in the parking lots, which I don't agree with, but I can understand it, and I would support that. And just to illustrate that, you can have differences of opinion and still do what's best for the village of Mamaroneck. Unfortunately, the current majority of the board does not do that. I can tell you, almost every weekend you'll find Lou and myself walking up and down Mamaroneck Avenue, And this past weekend, 3 separate store owners came out and said, "Woman, what's going on? You're killing my business. What's going on here?" And it comes back to exactly what you talked about, Mal, is that they don't listen to the people. I mean, it's absolutely incredible.
Same as parking hours.
You guys, when you're going to sit on that board, you're going to be representatives of the people. You're not the dictators of the board.
Exactly.
Or anything
No,
else.
we
Work
work,
for
we
the
work for
people.
them,
Right,
not the
exactly.
other way around.
And those meters, if you're handicapped or if there's foul weather, to find the kiosk and play around with those things, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Just completely ridiculous. And it seems we have a czar as opposed to a trustee running things here.
Well, there was something that I'm most interested in when you are elected and sitting on there, that you are committed to going to the meetings and not Skyping in or missing meetings. And,
Without a doubt.
and missing. There's one trustee that they have the liaisons to the boards. It hasn't gone in a year in one instance, or 6 months in another instance. I mean, I want the people to know that based on your history, not on what you're going to say, how committed you are as volunteers in doing what's best for the village of Mamaroneck.
Well, check my record on every BAR meeting that I've been assigned to since 1988, or a zoning board meeting, or I'm there. If I miss it, it's a real problem that I have. It's I don't miss them on a whim or just for no reason.
It's got to be a real emergency to miss a meeting.
Right.
Well, same for me. I mean, also I work in the city. I mean, I always been here. I was usually the first one at the BAR meeting. So again, I have would say close to perfect record showing up. Obviously, a couple of times. I mean, I couldn't make it, but obviously, if I mean, for us, I mean, it was my first question when I was asked. I mean, you want to volunteer? I mean, really is a time commitment involved to understand that,
Right.
and I think it's going to work.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
And the boards and committees and commissions make a little bit less than the board of trustees, salary-wise. So I mean,
You don't get paid at all.
Zero-sum game.
no, if you can't make the meetings as a trustee where you're being paid by the taxpayers, you shouldn't take your paycheck.
That's absolutely correct. That's
Absolutely.
absolutely correct. Well, believe it or not, I'm glad there's going to be a second Meet the Candidates, because we can get more specifically about some of your viewpoints on flooding in the village of Mamaroneck. The Army Corps of Engineers study. Again, we'll have an update on the parking and the meters, and actually the tax base, the TOD study, what's going on.
Very interesting.
There is some exciting news. There seems to be a positive movement where the A&P property is.
That's great.
And it looks like the village of Mamaroneck, with the right representation, which I'm counting on you guys being there, will continue the village of Mamaroneck as being the #1 destination. And if we can even talk about and wrap it up, you can say, we have 4 or 5 minutes left. It's a standard question that I ask when the cops candidates come in to be hired. Why do you want to be a cop? Why do you want to be a trustee in the village of Mamaroneck? Very quickly. You don't have that much time, so.
I love the village. Like I said, I've lived here all my life. My mother was born here. My grandparents came here in the late 1800s. It's just a place that I call home, and I want to serve it to the best of my ability.
Great.
Same with me. Born and raised. Love this village. It's wonderful, and I want to keep it #1. Like you said, we were voted #1, 3 different places. We need to stay #1.
Mal?
I gotta say, I never shy away from a challenge, and again, as on the BR, I also want to help the village. I mean, the reason why I moved here, I like the diversity in the village, and so that's pretty much what I'm gonna do.
Well, thank you very much. I look forward to the next one, and I can tell you I'm excited, looking forward to having an extremely productive Board of Trustees that bodes well for the village of Mamaroneck.
Thank
I
you.
look forward to it.
Thank
We
you.
look forward to working with you.
Absolutely.
Likewise.
Thank you.